Three surnames from Norway's football past have returned on the World Cup stage: Thorstvedt, Haaland, Sorloth. The strange part is not just that these names are back. It is that they are back through the next generation. In 1994, Erik Thorstvedt, Alf-Inge Haaland, and Gøran Sørloth were part of Norway's World Cup squad in the United States. 32 years later, Kristian Thorstvedt, Erling Haaland, and Alexander Sorloth are wearing the same red shirt for Norway in another World Cup hosted partly in the United States. That sounds like a neat football coincidence. But when you look closer, it says something bigger about Norway, legacy, and how small football nations build rare golden generations. Here is the clean version of the story. Norway's strongest football era before today was not built on glamour. It was built on structure. The team of the 1990s was direct, organized, physical, and very difficult to play against. They were not trying to entertain the world like Brazil. They were trying to survive against bigger football countries, then punish them when the chance came. And for a country with a small population and limited football resources compared with Europe's giants, that was already a major achievement. Norway qualified for the 1994 World Cup, their first appearance in the tournament since 1938. They returned again in 1998, where they reached the last 16. That run made the 1990s feel like a golden age for Norwegian football, not because Norway became a global superpower, but because they forced the world to take them seriously. The father generation represented that identity. Erik Thorstvedt was the goalkeeper. Alf-Inge Haaland was a defender and midfielder type, known for toughness and discipline. Gøran Sørloth was a forward who belonged to a very different football world from the one his son plays in today. Those players came from an era where Norway's edge was not celebrity power. It was clarity. Everyone knew the job. Everyone understood the system. And that matters because Norway's story today is almost the opposite on the surface. The modern Norway are not just hard to play against. They now have players who can hurt any defense in the world. Erling Haaland gives Norway something they never truly had before at this level: a global superstar striker who can turn one chance into a goal. Alexander Sorloth gives them another major attacking option with size, experience, and a very different profile. Kristian Thorstvedt adds the family connection from midfield, even though his career and role are not the same as Haaland's. And around them, Norway also have Martin Odegaard, the captain, the creator, and one of the most important reasons this team can do more than just defend and counter. That is the real change. The old Norway had discipline first. The new Norway still needs discipline, but now it also has elite attacking talent. This is where the story becomes more than just surnames. A lot of football fans enjoy the father and son angle because it feels like destiny. But football does not work that simply. A famous surname can open a conversation. It cannot win a match. The sons still had to become good enough on their own. Erling Haaland did not become Norway's main threat because of his father's career. He became that player because his scoring record forced the world to watch. Alexander Sorloth did not stay relevant because his father played for Norway. He had to build his own career through setbacks, transfers, and pressure. Kristian Thorstvedt did not inherit his father's position either. His father was a goalkeeper. He became a midfielder. So, the family link is powerful, but it is not the whole explanation. The deeper question is this: why is Norway producing this kind of generation now? Part of the answer is development. Modern players leave home earlier, train in more advanced systems, and learn faster through top European football. A small country can now produce world-level players if the pathway is clear enough. But another part is timing. Golden generations usually need several things to arrive at once. You need one or two exceptional stars. You need a strong supporting group. You need a coach who can make the team balanced. And you need belief at the right moment. Norway had pieces of this before, but not always at the same time. For many years after 1998, Norway watched major tournaments from outside. That is a long wait. A whole generation of fans grew up without seeing their country at the World Cup. That is why the current run carries emotional weight. It is not just about Haaland scoring goals. It is about a football nation reconnecting with a stage it had been missing for nearly 3 decades. For Singapore viewers, there is a useful lesson here. Small countries do not need to copy football giants. Exactly. They need a clear identity, a serious pathway, and enough patience to let talent mature. Norway's 1990s team showed what a smaller nation could do with discipline and unity. The 2026 team shows what can happen when that foundation meets modern elite talent. Of course, there is also a danger in romanticizing the story too much. It is easy to say the Suns are completing the Father's mission, but sport is not a movie script. The pressure on the new generation is different. The game is faster. The media attention is heavier. The expectations around Haaland are enormous, and opponents now prepare for Norway in a very different way. In the 1990s, Norway could surprise bigger teams by being awkward, direct, and hard to break down. Today, Norway are no longer just the awkward underdog. They are a team with players the world already knows. That changes the psychology. When you have Haaland and Odegaard, people expect more. When you have famous surnames and a strong tournament run, the story becomes bigger before the final result is even known. That can inspire a squad. It can also weigh on them. Here is the sharpest point. The father-son connection is beautiful, but Norway's real achievement is not nostalgia. It is renewal. The country did not simply produce 3 sons of former internationals and call it progress. It built a team where the old values still matter, but the ceiling is much higher. The fathers represented a Norway that could compete. The sons represent a Norway that can genuinely frighten elite opponents. That difference is huge. It shows how football identity can evolve without disappearing. The grit is still there. The red shirt still means hard running, structure, and collective work. But now, there is also star power. There is finishing power. There is a sense that Norway are no longer just trying to make a good impression. They are trying to make a deep mark. That is why this story has gone viral. It is not only about 3 families. It is about time. It is about a small football country waiting decades for another moment. It is about sons carrying names that already mean something, then trying to make those names mean something new. And it is about how sport sometimes creates patterns that feel almost too perfect. In 1994, the fathers helped bring Norway back to the World Cup. In 2026, the sons are trying to push Norway further than before. Same surnames, same country, same dream, but a completely different level of expectation. So here is the question. Is Norway's new generation already greater than the 1990s team? Or do they still need one truly historic finish before we can say that? Like, share, and subscribe to 2230.